What did Jesus say about his church? You know, it's interesting, if you take the Gospels, Jesus mentions the church twice. That's all. He doesn't talk too much about the church. What does Jesus talk about? The kingdom. He spoke more about the kingdom than anything else. Constantly getting the people to see the kingdom of God. You can't live like this. It's a different system. The kingdom of God is different to this kingdom. And he kept teaching them and they didn't get it. But on the day of Pentecost, something changed. And that's what I want to happen now. Because why? I believe even though we are the New Testament church, like some of us can say, yes, we came from traditional churches. And we came to this born-again, spirit-filled traditional church. Evangelically tradition. Still a traditional church. But those of us who've come from another church, how different is it? I'm saying enough of a man-made structure, enough of man-made examples. I'm saying in this season, let's go back to what Jesus said his church must look at. Are you with me on this? Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to get uncomfortable. But I'd rather get uncomfortable now and go to the genuine than live a fake. See, what I'm trying to say is, what did Jesus say? This is what he says, Matthew 16, 15 to 19. And he said to them, who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered and said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus answered and said to him, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, that is son of Jonah. Flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And then he says in verse 18, and I also say to you that you are Peter. On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. And I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven. Now what is Jesus saying? He's saying, listen, I am going to build a church, and that church is going to be moving. Churches today move one direction. We bring people from outside inside. Track with me, please. He's saying this is the church that is moving. It is pushing down the gates of hell. It's doing all these things. What is the church doing today? What gates are we pushing back? He says, I will build my church, and this is what my church is going to do. Are we doing anything of what Jesus said? Honestly, not now, not lately. We're not. Why? What's the problem with the church? The difference between the book of Acts church, or the church that was birthed on the day of Pentecost, and the difference in our church is what we are pursuing versus what they pursued. I'll say that again. What the church today pursues is very different to what the people in the book of Acts pursued. What they gave their lives for then and what we give our lives for today are completely different. Don't feel bad. It is what it is. Right? I'm not trying to make anyone feel guilty because I'm pointing 10 fingers at myself. I'm not pointing at you. I'm saying we have different mindsets to that church. Our goals are different. Everything is different. It's different. Let me ask you this question. Why do people come to church or come to a church in this day and age? Some of us are born and bred in church. You don't have a choice. You're taken to church like my children have no choice, kind of. But think about it. We come because we have a need, right? A small percentage will come because they actually want to know who God is. Because they don't know. They have never heard of this God. Maybe church is a good place to find out what God looks like. And they'll come to church. What do you think they'll find here? Except for a few nice songs and a sermon. They'll find that our values and what we are pursuing is just like the rest of the world. We pursue the same things. Our values are the same things. Our style of singing songs is different. Our style of worship is different to other religions. But what is different about us? Nothing. Very little, if at all. And that's what I'm saying. So you think the current church system is working? I don't think so. See, think of how are churches marketed today? Miracles and wonders. And again, this is not wrong. It's not wrong to come to a church if you have needs, if you need a breakthrough. But the problem is, now please track with me, because the key point here is once you come with a need or you want a breakthrough or a miracle, if you receive it, does it connect you to Jesus or does it make you a person of, I want more of this? Now, let me give you a quick example. The Bible talks about there were 10 lepers, outcasts of society, humiliated because you had to go with a bell and say unclean, unclean, unclean every time you went. And every time people saw you, they ran away. But they come to Jesus and Jesus says, come. And Jesus heals them. They had a need. Their need was met. You think they'll fall in love with Jesus, wouldn't you? 9 out of the 10 never turned up and told Jesus anything. They took their miracle and they went. One person connected with Jesus. 9 people had nothing to do with it. So my question is, if your need is met in a church or your need is met, does it connect you with Jesus? See, the problem with our churches is we are not connecting people to Jesus. We are connecting people to the church or the pastor or the prophet. They get connected to the person, the personality, not Jesus. The current system of church is doing this, and this is why we cannot continue doing church like this. Something has to change. See, what happens is after a while, you move from need to greed. I'll say that again. If your need does not connect you to Jesus, you will continue looking with greed. Your need becomes greed. And so you will turn up because you have a greed, not because you're connecting to Jesus. And if you find a place where somebody is producing the goods for you, you will flock to get your greed met, because need has now gone. Now I'm in greed because your need did not connect you to Jesus.